I don't give up on Kashmir. I always keep myself abreast with whatever is happening here.
How do you look at Umar Abdullah behaving in this atmosphere?
Look, I mean, history is replete with examples in India and in other countries that diarchy has never worked.
You still believe, as somebody who has studied political science and who's practiced politics, that it is finally for the people to shape the contours of politics in their country?
Of course, that goes without saying.
And we can live together without any problems. Practicing, we have to, we don't have any other option. And our faiths actually don't come in the way.
They don't come in the way because no faith teaches violence.
Just a cursory glance at his life and he comes across as an embodiment of a journey that is ceaseless. He studied history and in his later years, he became part of history making. He studied political science and all his life he practiced politics. He was a part of a grassroots politics. He was a part of a formidable opposition. And then he went on to serve the government of India in the capacities as foreign minister and finance minister. If you want to capture him in just one word, and he has chosen it for himself also, that is relentless. Welcome to GK TV Headroom, Mr. Yashwant Sinha. Great pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Thank you. Sir, if I can begin, 1984 you joined politics. This is 2025. If we count the other years when you actually wanted to join politics but you were advised against and you served as a bureaucrat, it is almost half a century. Looking back, is there a sense of disappointment when you look back that chases you? Or is there an awareness of hope when you look into the future? What is the dominant feeling at this stage of life when the challenge is so huge and high and age is not on your side?
Look, I think every generation feels that his generation was far better than the present. And they also feel that things have, instead of improving, they have deteriorated. They are not as they should have been. I am not an exception, but I genuinely believe that as far as we are concerned in India, things have certainly deteriorated. I started, I've been a student of political science, as you said. I've been watching politics as a civil servant. I served as Principal Secretary to 2 Chief Ministers of Bihar. I worked in the Ministries of Government of India very closely with ministers of the Government of India. So in a way my journey has been exceptional in the sense that I have seen it from both sides, from the side of the bureaucracy as well as from the side of politics, the politician. But you know, politics is, well, considered to be the last resort or last refuge of the scoundrel. But when ever since I have watched politics, I feel that there was so much in that politics that we have lost today. We have lost those values, we have lost integrity, we have lost the strength of purpose, and most of all, we have lost our way.
That's a huge statement, that we have lost our way. How huge is this sense of loss?
It's a huge loss. It's a huge loss because you know, I served as a minister in 2 very important ministries in an NDA government led by the BJP, of which Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the Prime Minister. And it's not merely I who say this. A lot of absolutely impartial observers believe that those 6 years from 98 to 2004 were good years in India's history. We were making progress on various fronts. Mr. Vajpayee took various initiatives on the foreign policy front to ensure that peace prevailed in our neighborhood and globally. And I've been to many international meetings with Mr. Vajpayee, and I am aware of the fact or witness to the fact how well regarded he was in international diplomacy. People listened to him with a great deal of attention in whatever he spoke.
Now, when you speak of all of this, one is with a sense of nostalgia also. There is also a deeper sense of loss, that we have lost the way, as you put it. What keeps you hopeful then? Because you're not giving up.
No, I will not. I'm not giving up, and I will not give up. I am approaching 90 years. That's not a insignificant age. That is how old I am. But I have come to Kashmir. I am meeting people here. I am trying to do what.
So you are younger in your resolve.
That is my resolve, because my resolve actually is that for as long as I am allowed to breathe on this planet by God, I will be devoting every moment of my life to my country and my people.
If I ask Mr. Yashwant Sinha at this stage, what are those elements of hope that keep him going?
I strongly believe in the sagacity, the good sense of the people of India. And we have seen this not in the distant past, but even in very recent past, that whenever the country has faced challenges, it's the people who have risen. It's the people who have provided, shown the way. And as I said, we have lost our way today, but I am very hopeful that a time will come, and not too far in future, where the people will speak in a very definite voice and bring the country back to the right path.
Mr. Yashwant Sinha, when we look back, we had these political parties, political differences apart, because that is a natural thing. Society is built on the case of difference, so that is how it flourishes. But now a phenomenon has set in that political parties, rather than being human and organic, they are becoming mechanized, and there is corporatization. They behave like corporates now. There is an urge to stay in power and never lose it, no matter what. So how great this is a challenge for those who want to join politics and emerge as political forces that are rooted in human aspirations, that are tied to humans in a relationship of emotion and organicity. What would you suggest to the political youngsters who want to join the politics, or the political parties in general?
First of all, you are absolutely right in saying that parties have been corporatized. I have worked in two major parties in this country, the Janata Dal, which almost non-existent now, and the Bharatiya Janata Party, the BJP. And in both these parties, when I joined, things were very informal. Things were far from being corporatized, as you say. Mr. Advani was the president of the BJP. Anyone could go and meet him at any time. You didn't have to take an appointment.
Not the case anymore.
Not the case anymore. Mr. Chandrasekhar was a people's man, and he was always available. So I worked with these, Mr. Vajpayee. So these were people who had risen from the grassroots. They had seen good patches and bad patches, rough patches and smooth patches, and they understood this country. Now I feel that there are many leaders in this country who don't understand the people of this country. They don't have any idea of the roots in which our civilization is grounded, and therefore they are doing things which are completely against the prevalent mood of the people, or the traditions and practices that we have followed in the past.
In the earlier times, if we look at in the Indian national movement, because that was a political ecosystem, it was a gathering of minds, it was a gathering of concern. People were with them. But now it looks like that political party means amassing resources. And normally humans don't have, the ordinary people don't have those resources at their command. So is it a lost battle then?
It's not, it's a battle. I will not say it is lost yet. Dr. Rajendra Prasad was our first president. You know how brilliant a student he was. He was a topper throughout in the old Calcutta University where he studied. But he always led a simple life. He stayed in Rashtrapati Bhavan, and after he retired, he went back to a small cottage in the Sadakat Ashram, which was the Congress Party's headquarters in Patna. And that is where he passed away. That was the tradition that those people set. Now take anyone, Pandit Nehru, look how well studied he was. I mean, well educated he was.
He was a scholar in his own right.
He wrote books, he was a scholar, he understood the country and its people. Sardar Patel was exceptional in his own ways, and there's so many, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, there are so many of them. Now, politics is being commanded by very small people, unfortunately.
Right. If this phenomenon of smallness of things, but at the same time, on the other side, huge resources at their command, huge power,
yes,
unprecedented. In these ways, where do you see the chance of actually people like you and many others in India, how they can rally into one political force and work for India?
I'll give you an example from the Bihar state. There was an election, I think 2 elections before, when Nitish Kumar and Lalu Prasad Yadav were on one side and the Bharatiya Janata Party was on the other side. The combination of Lalu Prasad and Nitish Kumar recorded a thumping majority. So people were clever. That gives me hope that despite these vast resources that some parties command in our political life today, despite the fact that they deploy these resources for elections, and despite the fact that parties have been corporatized and elections have become a play of money, despite that, people at times have spoken their mind.
So you still believe, as somebody who has studied political science and who's practiced politics, that it is finally for the people to shape the contours of politics in their country?
Of course, that goes without saying. It's not for the politicians, it's not for the political party, it is for the people to shape the course of politics.
Sir, you have been a part of a political party that some would say that it had a certain view on culture, on history, on civilization. What it has morphed into now, everybody knows it. Looking back, do you think that there is a slight sense of, I would say, tingling sense of guilt that probably you should have done something more so that it wouldn't have morphed into what it has morphed into?
You know, each generation fends for itself. And my generation, despite the fact that we belong to the BJP, despite the fact that we formed a government with other parties which was known as the NDA government, we did not allow the government to veer off from the right path. This I like to make a rather important point here, and that is that parties, when they are not in power, they make all kinds of statements. They become more disciplined
when they are in power.
When they are in power, because they are subjected to a blast of information which is not available to them otherwise. I have seen this happen with the Bharatiya Janata Party when they formed the government in 1998, and the government which ran for 6 years under Mr. Vajpayee. You look at the statements that Mr. Vajpayee made outside Parliament, inside Parliament, those were statesman-like statements. You know, they looked far into the future of this country, and he spoke his mind when he said parties will come, parties will go, but this nation must survive. That was Mr. Vajpayee.
So you made that distinction between a party and party's mind, and then being in the government and acting on behalf of the country,
yes,
not on behalf of
yes,
the party.
And I am aware of the fact, as everyone should be, that parties which have come into government have given up many of the issues that they were raising before. And in the government, it was a changed personality for the leaders who entered the government. I mean, to give you another example, nearer home, didn't Mr. Vajpayee get Mr. Advani, who was the Home Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister, to talk to the Hurriyat here? But what was the BJP's attitude towards Hurriyat? One of complete distancing and non-cooperation. But
almost antagonism.
Yeah, and here is an example that I am giving you of how the attitude changed while in government.
Maybe somebody would call it as a finer art of politics. How would you respond to that?
You might call it that way. I'll not even call it finer art of politics. I'll call it finer act of governance.
But if we can expand the frame, let's go beyond India. At the global level, when you come across a politician or a president, say Trump, Donald Trump, do you laugh at it? Do you cry? What do you think?
There is an old saying in English that people get the government they deserve. It's true. We have got the government we deserve. US has got the government it deserves. You have heard of the MAGA movement in the US. You have seen how communalism has taken such a sweeping position in Indian polity today. So changes have taken place. It's the white majority which is asserting itself in the US. It is the Hindu majority which is asserting itself in India. So these are all phases of history. For a while,
it's not the end of history.
It's not the end of history, and for a while it might appear that the end of history has come, but ultimately you will find that they are no more than commas. They are not even full stops.
When you say that people get the government they deserve, it points towards a deeper phenomenon that something goes wrong in the society and it reflects in politics later on. So if you have to make the corrections, get back to the society, deeper spaces of it and correct it there. You can't make noise about the politics and correct it there. As is being said that in all conscious societies, some people are culpable but all are responsible. Looking at things through that prism, what would you as a seasoned veteran politician advise the younger generation that how they should respond to these changes?
The younger generation has...
they may or may not join political parties, but at least they have a responsibility.
You see, the younger generation in this country, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, as we say, is facing problems of its own. Problems of unemployment, problems of proper education, problems of lifestyle, the issue of drugs. Exactly. I mean, look at how important a serious issue it's become here in Kashmir as we talk in Srinagar. It has not merely a problem here, it's a problem in my home city.
Where it's spreading.
And it's a problem all over the country. So, the younger people have various problems that they are facing. Some of them will give up the fight. Some of them will take to easier ways and fail. But my faith still is that the vast majority of the young people of this country will choose the right path. And that right path will also be the right path for the country as a whole. So my advice to the youth of this country is pursue. I am not saying that everyone should come into politics. Some of them should come into politics and guide politics. But many of them will follow other professions. But each one of them is entitled to lead his own life and fulfill the destiny for which he has been sent by God to this earth.
Yashwantji, if I can, somebody might find it very provocative, but I want to understand in a very profound sense. What does it mean for you as a person to be a Hindu, and how does it impact your understanding of political values and negotiating the space with other faiths? Because this is becoming increasingly important and we don't find many meaningful discussions around this.
I am a very devout Hindu. I offer my prayer to my God every morning. I have a temple in my premises in a village in Jharkhand where I live. I have a dedicated temple where I go and pray. So I'm a devout Hindu. I have walked 100 kilometers barefoot from one place to another, carrying the Ganga water to offer to Lord Shiva. That's my credential as a Hindu. But I am a very ferocious secularist, and I am deliberately choosing my word and saying this, and I am a stout defender of the Constitution of India, which is based on secularism. And I find that as a nation, that is our guiding principle, and any departure from that is a violation of the constitutional principles and morality that our Constitution gives us.
If I can sum it up, you are a devout Hindu, as you said, and you explained it as well. Your belief in the political value of secularism is total and final, and you believe that the path is that of the Constitution that has been set for the country for the last 7 decades. Now, looking at the region, from Afghanistan down to Bangladesh, we can see that the communities lived at every place. There have been disruptions, people have moved inside, outside, but there are memories of different faiths in different places. A larger prism, how can that narrative be built in this entire region, that all of us might have different faiths, but finally we are all humans and we can live together without any problems, practicing. We have to, we don't have any other option.
We don't have any.
And our faiths actually don't come in the way.
They don't come in the way because no faith teaches violence. Every faith teaches human brotherhood. Every faith advocates peace. Every faith wants the society which adopts that faith to progress. So there is no faith which one can stand up and say, oh, this is a bad faith and this is a good faith. But there are people who say my faith is the best and every faith is bad, and I have a right therefore to impose my faith on others, and if they don't accept it, then even go to the extent of eliminating them. That is a view which is absolutely against anything which is incorporated in the modern values of constitutional morality, especially in India. And therefore, as you said, whether it is Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, or any other country in the world, we of course are concerned with our immediate neighborhood. That is what must prevail ultimately. And I am absolutely confident that that is what is going to prevail, despite all the disruptions that you see at this point of time.
Yashwant Sinha ji, you have held 2 important portfolios, one External Affairs Minister. When you look at the current world, if you were in the position right now, we have many trouble spots now. We have Ukraine, we have South China, we have Middle East, entire Middle East burning. Are these very dangerous and frightening times, and how would you handle it?
These are dangerous and frightening times because we have had conflicts which have resulted in untold violence and misery for a very large number of people. I personally feel that what has happened, for instance, to the Palestinians in Gaza is totally inhuman, and in fact I have tweeted about this to say that Israel has proved that it's not merely a rogue state, it has proved that it's a criminal state, because they are doing what only a criminal can do. So that's one hot spot. Then we have
Ukraine, of course.
Ukraine, where a war is going on. There are other hot spots which I'll not named for the present, but the world is fraught with danger. Even where there is peace, it appears to be very superficial kind of peace, and there could be eruption at any time. So we are living in a dangerous world, and therefore world leaders must get together and ensure. I personally believed all the time that world has now opted for peace. And I was thinking, of course, in terms of India and Pakistan. And I thought that even if there was a conflict, the world will not permit it to go beyond a few days. But I was proved wrong, because Palestine and Israel have gone on had gone on. Now one hopes there will be peace. Ukraine is still going on. There are other hotspots which have not been resolved. And therefore that faith that I had, that even if there was a conflict, it will last only a few days, has unfortunately proved to be misplaced.
And with this, diminishing of United Nations, we don't see it as impactful and effective anymore. Do you think there is a need of some global movement around the idea of getting together and saving the planet now?
Of course, if we don't act in time, then we are destroying the planet itself through violence and through violence with nature, violence with the environment. So we need to get together. But you mentioned Trump. Trump says that all this talk about green energy is a sham. Not only a sham, it's a scam, he said.
Exactly.
So there you are, and he is the president of the US.
So, immediate neighborhood. We have seen some time back in Sri Lanka a chaotic turn of events. We saw it in Bangladesh also. Now in Nepal. Pakistan, is always a political problem within their country. Afghanistan, we have seen it. In India also, there is a churning happening. So with these chaotic political times, as an external affairs minister, how would you look at the neighborhood?
I would say that the neighborhood has unfortunately been very disturbed. It has lapsed into violence in many parts of our neighborhood. As far as we are concerned in India, I would advocate strongly for peace. I would say that we should not follow the path of the neighboring countries. We should find peaceful resolution of the problems that we have. We have an excellent constitution which provides for all kinds of exigencies and emergencies, and we should take advantage of the constitution. My regret is that the powers that we in the government of India have a scant respect for the constitution at this point of time, and therefore the constitution appears to be threatened. All of us must put our shoulder to the wheel to ensure that the constitution is protected.
As a finance minister, there is a phenomenon now which was not earlier present. There is this kind of a romance happening between corporate and the technology. They have this huge surveillance apparatus now that is at the command of the corporates. The lesser and smaller economic spaces are shrinking further. They are almost disappearing now. As a finance minister, what would you do in a country like India, where we have this huge population, to avoid a danger of collapsing smaller economic spaces?
Well, first of all, if the country really wants to progress economically, we must emphasize decentralized economy. An economy which is decentralized, go back to Gandhi, remember what he tried to teach us.
Economy,
yes.
Economy.
And you avoid centralization, you avoid omnipotence, you avoid one or two or three corporate houses to take over the entire economy, because when they take over the entire economy, they also take over the government.
That's true.
At the state level, at the central level, and this is what we are finding is happening today.
Yashwant Sinha ji, since it has been a long conversation, keeping in view that you have other engagements as well, one last question. You are in Kashmir right now. If you were to do politics in Kashmir, or if you were from Kashmir doing politics, what would you suggest to the political parties or the political leadership here, given the kind of things that have happened, or at the moment the state of political affairs?
Well, as you are aware, I have been taking a lot of interest in the affairs of Jammu and Kashmir, whether I am here or elsewhere in the country. I don't give up on Kashmir. I always keep myself abreast with whatever is happening here. It has a very strategic location, as you know, and given our relationship with Pakistan, given our relationship with China, it becomes even more important. Given what happened in Ladakh, for instance, recently, it becomes even more important, and therefore Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, this region deserves very, very special attention of the Government of India and the people of India. And the most important issue to my mind is to create a confidence in the minds of the people here that will listen to you, that Government of India will listen to you, the government of the state will listen to you, people like us will listen to you, and after listening to you, we will try and do our best to resolve your grievances.
How do you look at Umar Abdullah behaving in this atmosphere?
Look, I mean, history is replete with examples in India and in other countries that diarchy has never worked. What we are witnessing in Jammu and Kashmir today is a classical example of British imperialism. British imperialism introduced diarchy in India in when was it, 1919 or 1918 or something, and that diarchy failed. Diarchy will never work. You can't have an elected government with limited powers and the unelected LG with all the powers. You know, you can't. This is a situation which is bound to fail.
In such a situation, what are his options?
I don't know. It's very difficult for me to predict what his options are. But looking at the system which has been introduced, I can only go to the extent of saying that there is no chance of this diarchy succeeding. Sooner or later, somebody will have to blink.
Thank you, Yashwant Sinha, for your brilliant thoughts, sharing your ideas with us and sparing this time. Thank you very much once again. Thank you.